It's barely a month since your appointment as the acting Cabinet Secretary Interior, what is regarded as perhaps the busiest and toughest cabinet call. Considering, with all due respect, because you've served in other capacities and you have been praised for that, considering you don't have a background in provincial administration or security, how difficult has it been for you?
Government ministries across the board, essentially in a government situation such as ours, are very well staffed by technocrats, by background and contextual expertise that can assist you to make decisions. A minister or a cabinet secretary is a program officer. You direct programs and you listen to people, you listen to advice, you listen to reports, you read information, and you are assisted to make decisions by smart people who are around. The Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government is one of our best staffed in this government. It's not as if you arrive in a ministry and run it alone, as it were. We have a huge team, an army of expertise in the ministry, which I have been relying on and I've been working with. And I find it interesting. It's got its own, unusual characteristics.
How different is it? That's
but it's okay. It's much more regimented because, this is the security sector. Everything must be planned effectively before you act. You have to be cautious 10 times before you take decisions, because any actions you take and decisions you take in the Ministry of Interior have an immediate effect on the population, on the stability of the country, and so on. And then, most importantly, I find that it is more taxing in terms of you have to be in the know at all times, and you have to understand what's happening in every nook and corner of the country.
Right.
It's a very regimented structure, from the national government to the regional administration, to the county government, sub-county governments, all the way to the sub-locations and to the village heads. So at all times, you have to make sure that the chain is working so that you are effectively informed and you have the feedback that you need from the ground. So that is new to me.
Right.
But I find it interesting in its own right.
Right. One thing that you have to make sure works, of course, is on Tuesday as we go to the elections, and how secure the country should be. What would you say is the level of security as we go to the elections? What can you assure Kenyans?
As I always say, I can look Kenyans in the face and tell them this. Given the briefing that I have received, given the work that I have seen being done by the heads of our security agencies across the country, our country is secure, our country is safe. No one needs to fear anything. We are going into elections during probably the most peaceful pre-election period we've ever had since independence. We have had elections 11 times. We are voting the 12th time as a nation. And this, going by the data that we have, has been the most peaceful pre-election period. And that can be explained in very many ways. And it's a reason of much more careful government, much more effective government, much more management of the, better management of the security sector. Institutions that were created as a result of Constitution 2010, like the NCIC, a lot of public awareness that has been created. And of course, the majority of the nation, I mean, the country has grown over a period of time, and Kenyans have become more and more mature. Our level of integration is higher than it was in the past. The Kenyans doing business and living in various parts of the country, and they're fine with that. And the country is much more open than it was in the past, as it were. And as a result of that, and because of a very effective and facilitative statutory environment or ecosystem, we're having a fairly peaceful pre-election period.
Right.
And I look forward to Tuesday, being a peaceful time during the voting.
Yet we are already seeing some people, let me say that, moving up country, some concerned about their security, and may even affect, it may make them not vote because of their movements that they'll make because of security. What do you tell these people?
Well, I'll be honest with the public, as always, that it is probable that some people are moving from one part of the country to another because they feel, unsafe, or maybe they are fearing the experiences of past elections, and they're not sure this is actually going to be a different, election than the ones that happened in the past. But I would imagine that is probably the smallest of the numbers that are moving. People are moving because A, there are people who genuinely registered to vote up country. B, this is the holiday season, and a lot of people are moving, from urban to rural areas. Those whose children have been here, they're moving out. 3, ordinarily, because we always voted in December, people planned their leave, their annual leave and programs around the general elections time, and they took that time off to go. But Three, D, as I said, it is possible that there are people who feel either unsafe or who are fearing the past, or who, as a result of what happened in the past, think maybe this election may not be as safe as we are saying it's going to be. But here is my message to them. The system is much more efficient and faster than it has ever been in the past. So here is my assurance to the people of Kenya. I do not, as yet, and with all the information that I have and the briefings that I've received from all our colleagues across the board, I do not anticipate any challenge to security in the country. I would like to confidently say we're going to have a peaceful election. Okay. That is why we have not gazetted a 9th of August as a public holiday, because we believe everyone will go back to work on 9th after we have voted on 8th.
Right. One of these, I mean, you're talking about how organized you are this time round. In terms of organization, what is your priority? Because we saw a while back the police released or revealed a list where they said there are hotspots that they will be looking at. What are your priorities in terms of deployment? How will you deploy? Are there places where we'll have more security presence than other places in this country, or it's going to be?
What I'm going to tell you is a script from the National Police Service. You know, everyone needs to know, and I have to be careful these days myself. We're operating in a very strict legal regime, occasioned, of course, by the Constitution that we have. It is the responsibility of the National Police Service to police the country and look after law and order in the country. Now, that said, policing the country during the general elections, first of all, is a collaboration between the IEBC and the National Security Agencies. For this reason, we do not conduct elections. Government does not conduct elections. Our constitution is very clear. It is the IEBC that conducts elections. Our role is facilitative. So we will deploy as we are advised by IEBC. And our role is simple and straightforward: to facilitate and support the IEBC to deliver on its constitutional mandate. Namely, the IEBC tells us we have 42,000 plus polling stations across the country. In some polling stations, you'll need 2 police officers. In others, you'll need 1. In others, you'll need 5. That is dependent on what the IEBC tells us.
The need will come from IEBC.
That is it. This is a discussion that has been held between IEBC and the National Police Service. For this simple reason, polling stations are not of the same size. They are not in the same parts of the country. There is no uniformity on polling stations across the board. There are some polling stations, Claresho, for example, if there's a polling station in Claresho Primary School, is right next to the police station in Claresho. So if you deployed 1 police officer and the others on duty, in the event that they are more needed, there's no need to deploy 5 police officers in that kind of polling station. That is not the same thing as a polling station in, maybe Mpeketoni, for example, as it were. So the need varies. The deployment will vary from place to place in the country, right, but as guided by the IEBC. Okay. So when I'm saying we are ready, it means A, that conversations have happened between the police and the IEBC, and they have agreed and mapped out how the polling stations will be supported across the country. But in addition to the polling stations, that's not all we do during the elections. We have to look at critical installations across the country. Other duties will have to be done. I mean, we have to man traffic on the roads, we have to do other things and enable people to move around and so on and so forth. I need to address this point of hotspots.
Because you're saying the need will come from IEBC. So are you saying the need will be IEBC in terms of deployment, or is there also the security agencies in this country have sat and known there are some areas they need to deploy more than?
Yeah, that's where I'm coming to.
Okay.
Right now, to be honest with you, we have only 3 challenges in the security of the country that I can talk about very openly. We are challenged on the border of Kenya and Somalia, and that's why we are more concerned about or keener on what happens in Lamu, Garissa, Mandera. And the parts of the rift, like in cases like in Laikipia and Baringo, where because of recent cases of activities related to either cat rustling or banditry of some kind, there's some insecurity, and we have a security operation going on in Laikipia and in Baringo. Those are what I may describe as security challenges. Other parts of the country that we would describe as hotspots are because the areas in the country where some races in certain categories are very close. Gubernatorial races are very close, and you can see that there's a possibility of tensions building during that time. Certain parliamentary races are very close, and you can see that there's a propensity to some level of volatility as you move along. They might be volatile, or there are very sharp differences between regions within a particular area and so on. And we mapped some of these out, and there are not many, really. And here, the security agencies have taken a decision already on the kind of deployment that will happen. Are we going to police some parts of the country more than others? No. Is there going to be deployment of more resources and assets in some parts of the country than others? No. Is there any preference or is there any particular attitude for or against any parts of the country? Absolutely not. I have seen this being bandied around, you know, people saying, oh, in certain parts of the country,
the police will cause problems.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my next question, which is in terms of deployment. I mean, when you deploy security agencies, I mean, where do you draw the line between the need and what people have always questioned sometimes in elections, that we have so much police presence that it ends up, or it may intimidate voters in voting?
Hussein, these decisions are not made by tossing a coin or by throwing up bonds and saying the places that fall on your left, give them more police officers, and those that fall on your right, give them more police officers. Security decisions are made scientifically. They are made in a very methodical manner. Analysis, data is given, information, intelligence that has been collected over a period of time informs the decisions on the deployment that is going to happen. This is why, allow me to say this, it's actually lovable, some of the things you hear being said from political platforms. The security decisions are not made in that kind of political manner that people think they are made. The people who make decisions are smart people who have been doing security work over a long period of time. It's a combination of so many factors. They have data, they have intelligence that those politicians don't have and will never have. They have surveyed those areas in manners that those who are criticizing them have not done. And when they take decisions to deploy, they are not guided by politics.
That is their worry.
No, because they cannot be, for the simple reason that if you are guided by politics in your deployment, you most obviously are going to make a stupid decision. And they don't want to make a stupid decision. How on earth would you move security forces to one part of the country in the hope that you are over-policing that part of the country? What happens to the rest of the country? The point I want to say is this. Trust, an attitude of trust is necessary in the way in which we deal with our security agencies. There is nothing like over-policing, and there is nothing like over-deployment of security forces. And everyone is conscious of the fact that, first of all, you need to understand the doctrine of keeping law and order from the point of view of the police. That doctrine is we are there to assist and facilitate the people we serve who are our employers to go about their business. And if their business on that day is voting, we would assist them, including, in some cases, if police officers have to carry people and help them to get to the polling station or give them directions to the polling station, that is their responsibility. It is not inhibitive. It's not the doctrine of inhibiting or stopping people from exercising their democratic right. So, and because we are not a military state, the police will do their job of assisting the IBC in delivering on their constitutional mandate. Okay,
you're talking about trust, and from one side, the opposition, they seem to have a problem with you in terms of trust again, because they accuse you, and you've had this, of high-handedness, saying you intimidate IBC officials, and talking about this NASA plan to support or to guard their votes, telling their supporters to man the polling stations. I'll quote what you said. You directed the police to decisively clear such persona by all means necessary. What did you mean by this? And what is so wrong with NASA's plan?
Hussein, if I wasn't in public life, there's a language I would use that I don't have the luxury to use right now. But let me go over this very calmly. I am saying nothing outside of what is in the regulations of IEBC. When it comes to matters election, we are led by IEBC. There are regulations that IEBC has issued. We have even a manual that IBC actually describes as IBC Field Manual. And if you went into all their documents, they have said clearly themselves who is expected at a polling station. The presiding officer, the deputy presiding officer, poll clerks, and so on and so forth, including party agents. Those are election officials, the whole lot of them. Now, the responsibility of the police, you know, it's not us in the security sector who decide who's going to be at the polling station. It is decided by IEBC. We are there to facilitate the IEBC. If they are irrelevant people to the exercise, our job is to remove them. That is how we facilitate the IEBC. And in doing so, there's absolutely nothing new. And by the way, we want to be efficient in doing it so that we can have anything that will stand in the way of a free and fair election must be dealt with. And that includes idlers. People are not required in a polling station. That's why we have all been telling people, the IBC, ourselves, and the whole world of reasonable people has been saying, wake up at 6 in the morning, queue like a proud citizen, vote, and go home. If you are a party, you have nothing to worry. You have your agent at the polling station. If you are a candidate, worry not. You have an agent at the polling station. Election officials are clearly outlined who they are. That is all. So, as for trust, I don't know. I mean, look, as someone saying, you know, why this is lovable is this. I am 3 weeks old as the Minister of Interior, 21 days. And what would you have done in 21 days for someone to imagine that you actually, you know, cannot be trusted? What could you have done? I think there's a fixation in this country. Let me just say it. There's a fixation in this country amongst all of us on one thing, that if people don't sing my praises, then they are against me. Or if people hold views that are different from mine, then they are against me. And I think that is informed by that kind of thinking. I cannot say anything. And by the way, I can assure everyone, candidly as I always do and very bluntly, we are here to do our work fairly, objectively, and firmly. We will do it.
So you came and you were appointed at a time when there were already claims about rigging by the security agencies. Case in point, and I would like you to respond to that issue about rigging, but also case in point, when the CS defense just recently dismissed as fake the documents by NASA as evidence of military's hand in rigging. I know the CS defense is CS defense and the CS interior, but this is about Operation Dumisha Utulivu, which is a joint security thing. Yet the KDF spokesman is on record as confirming that document as authentic. It's worth to mention here, of course, even if the KDF spokesperson is on record as confirming the document as authentic, he said it was quoted out of context. Where does the truth lie?
Hussein, in government, there's something called order. We govern orderly. And one thing that I like about my president is that he has presided over an orderly and organized government. I'll not shoot my mouth and make sideline comments on what is happening in a department where my colleague CS Rachel Mamo is dealing with the issue squarely, fairly, and truthfully. So I'm not going to start commenting on KDF when it is not part of my department right now. And secondly, I know that sections of the political establishment had a problem in the past. Even while my late colleague General Joseph Kaiseri was in office, about a multi-sectoral prep training that was happening in Embakasi and so on. I have been briefed effectively by the heads of agencies. I have looked at what was happening, and actually during the end of the closure of that course, the place was opened up and the media was invited there. What was happening is very simple and straightforward. All security sector agencies came together to rehearse and prepare for what they would do in case there was a disaster, there was a bigger challenge, and to prepare better for the forthcoming general elections. And this not only included security agencies as we know them in the traditional definition, it included para-security players like, Red Cross for emergency services and so on and so forth. Now, honestly, even if you were probably the most foolish person on this earth, how would you put all these people together in Embakasi, 10 kilometers from the city center, to plan to rig an election that has not even happened in the full view of the media and the whole world? I mean, we need to be serious also about the discourse that we have. This is what amazes me. We need to be serious about some of the things we say. Okay. And some of our colleagues and leaders need to be serious about our nation. Kenya is a great country. We are blessed to have this nation. People need to be serious about some of the things they say.
Okay. Finally, I want to believe you were here in 2007, or you know what happened in 2007, the 2007-2008 post-election violence. How do you ensure 2007 does not happen again in this country? What is it you think that was done wrong or wasn't done then that you'll do different now?
Poor preparation in 2007 led us to down the challenges that we finally faced. That is not the case now. There has been a lot of preparation. What you're seeing as a multi-sectoral conversation that is going on within the security sector and so on didn't happen that time. There's a greater level of collaboration right now. Awareness raising and constant messaging on peace, integration, coexistence, tolerance. The government has been running a huge program called Uwiano, where the Ministry of Interior has been facilitating conversations across the board between communities, between people within communities. Intra and extra community conversations across the board have been going on for a long time. Greater and broader involvement. I've been in the Ministry of Interior for about 3 weeks, and I have had over 5 meetings with the religious leaders in the country in their various formations and in the various groups, as it were, showing the openness of government and inclusivity, in ensuring that everybody is involved in the conversation on our country and the stability of our country. The resources we have deployed in this are many, through the Nyumba Kumi initiative, through the programs that bring together, as I said, elders and community leaders from various parts of the country. And I must say, quite frankly, that I'm so grateful, and I'm everlastingly will be grateful to God for being born in Kenya. I mean, such a wonderful country, and we're blessed to have the government that we have at the moment. And in all fairness, a lot of preparation has been done. And I have faith, I can say this with absolute confidence, that I have faith that the Lord who gave us this country will not forsake us on 8th. And there's going to be peace in this country. And we are going to have a peaceful election as we go along. Because the level of determination I have seen from ordinary Kenyans, civic leaders across the board who are talking about peace, coexistence, and ensuring that we go through the electoral process without a challenge is huge. And because of that, I don't think 2007 will ever happen again. Plus, again, Hussein, I mean, we are not a community of foolish people. We have learned, and Kenyans have learned the lessons of going the path of destruction merely because of strained passions brought about by electioneering and the campaigns that we've had. I do not foresee any of that going to happen at all.
Okay. Thank you, Waziri.